Witcher is a popular series of books and video games, and it also has a graphic novel series. Now, recently, I did tell everyone here that we're going to be doing some video game coverage, talking about some of our favorite video games, and explaining how they tie into the world of comic books. Well, today we're going to be doing some of the Witcher comic book issues. If you're wondering where you are, this is the Complete Story series, where we take some of your favorite pop culture icons from video games to movies to TV shows, and we break them down into digestible bites so that we can read them back to you in a dramatic fashion, almost giving you an audiobook explaining what happened in your favorite pop culture icons. So, today is the beginning of the Witcher coverage.
In the land of Angren, at the edge of the Black Forest, there is a dark and dismal place. In a lake, a local hunter steps gingerly through the waters, a net in his hand, his eyes on dinner. "Stay still, you little bastard. I could use a bite off your bones," he whispers, drawing ever closer to his prey. The net swings out, catching the unaware fish before it has a chance to get away, and the hunter lets out a laugh of joy at his good fortune. Stepping out of the water, he speaks to his dinner, laughing still until he looks up. The Witcher sits upon his horse, sword slung over his back with his mutated eyes, staring down at the hunter. The hunter lets out a scream of panic, brandishing his dagger, ordering the mutant to stay back. Casually, the Witcher swings down from his horse. "Relax, I'm not going to hurt you," he replies in his gruff voice. He saw the man fishing, first man he'd seen in days. The hunter understands a man can grow sick of speaking only to his horse. The two introduce themselves. Jacob the hunter, Geralt of Rivia, a Witcher. With friendship acquired, Geralt offers some wine to be added to Jacob's dinner, and the two sit down for a slightly more pleasant meal in these darkened lands. Before they can, however, Geralt's eyes lock on Jacob and the water. His sword clears his scabbard as he pushes forward, with Jacob trying to get away from the sharp blade. Yet Jacob is not his target. He pushes the hunter out of the way, and leaping into the pond, he swings his silver sword at the surface of the waters. It is then met by the scaly claws that tug at his clothes and his hair, trying to pull him under. The Drowner and Geralt fight, as Jacob cheers from the shore, calling for the Witcher to drown the beast. "He's a Drowner. Already drowned once. Won't work again," Geralt calmly states as he grapples with the fighting creature. Finally, he gains the upper hand and buries his silver blade into the beast's chest, leaving its body to float lifelessly in the water. This is a Witcher's life, the killing of monsters. Later, Geralt's wet clothes lay drying as the two share drink and stories by the fire. Geralt tells of his travels while Jacob shares of his wife, Marta's passing. "Sorry to hear that," Geralt solemnly states, and Jacob appreciates the Witcher's words, admitting that he hasn't fully accepted Marta's death. He motions over his shoulder at a hill in the distance. "That's her, watching us." The woman looks down upon them, sadness in her eyes. Geralt looks back, taking another sip from his mug. "More wine?" Jacob offers him, and Geralt gladly accepts. It was 9 years ago that Jacob and Marta traveled these lands. Bruxia took her, vampires, changed her into one of their own. Geralt seems skeptical. She's never tried to hurt Jacob, and he looks on sadly as they watch each other. He watches and he listens to the songbirds that are always around when she is nearby. 9 years of watching and listening to songbirds, of warning off travelers from going into the Black Forest to avoid the same fate that befell Marta and he. For 2 days, Geralt stays with Jacob as the two hunt and they swap stories. Finally, over a fresh kill, Geralt tells Jacob that he's ready to move on. Surprisingly, Jacob offers to go with him. "Thought you couldn't leave Marta." "Probably not," Jacob admits, but he must try. "Maybe with you, Witcher. Maybe I'll make it." 3 hours later, the two are packed and they head out. And looking over his shoulder, Jacob looks at one last glimpse of his wife. Yet the hilltop is empty. Jacob questions Geralt's choice as they enter the Black Forest, but still the two press onward. The two travel deep into the woods, finally happening upon a graveyard and a mausoleum. "Well, don't this look bleak?" Jacob whispers to the gloom. Pushing onward, the two are watched from the trees by a hunched creature. Geralt warns Jacob that they're not alone. As the hag peeks from behind the headstones, her voice sounding as if the bones rattling together. Geralt draws his sword. "A hunter and a Witcher by my nest, I do declare!" The old creature cackles, questioning whether they are going to the house. Jacob doesn't know what she's talking about, and Geralt warns him to watch her tongue. As if on cue, the hag tangles the appendage around the old stone. Finally, she walks off into the gloom. "Watch your step on the dead," she whispers, and the two men steel their nerves, each taking a gulp of wine to continue on their journey. They travel for hours, trading more stories as the days grow older. Finally, it is Jacob who notices. "Shouldn't it be getting dark?" he asks, looking up at the dim sunshine that doesn't seem to go away. Geralt agrees. They've been traveling in circles. They are stuck in a maze. Something is shifting the forest to keep them entrapped. From the shadows, a flock of crows take flight, revealing their master. The horses rear at the sight of Leshen, an ancient creature that appears part of the forest itself. Jacob suggests they run as Geralt frees his weapon. He knows that it would be useless to run. Songbirds suddenly alight on their shoulders before taking flight, heading into the forest. Follow them, Geralt orders as he spurs Roach onward at a mad dash. The two finally come to a clearing where the old house sits, stained glass windows staring back at them, bones leaning heavily in other spots. From a balcony, Marta watches. The two look on, and the front door to the manor slowly creeps open. Looks like a trap to me, Geralt calmly notices, but Jacob only sees a door, which the Witcher believes is often the same thing. The two argue for a few moments, but Jacob finally decides that they should go in. Don't like the way the door opened. We'd be fools to go in that way, Geralt notes, and they begin to climb onto the balcony. Jacob scoffs at the cautious Witcher, and he walks through the door. Pulling himself up onto the balcony, Geralt is greeted by more songbirds, his medallion humming along the magic that emits from them. But the medallion only sings about curses. Moving through the hallways of the house, Geralt studies the stained glass windows, which depict images of the hag and scenes of horror from the forest. He moves onward, coming out into the main hall. Jacob, Marta. Yet his words seem lost to the dust in the draft of the house, seemingly abandoned even though the candles are lit. Dust coats the hallways as he moves on. More stained glass windows adorn the walls, and the images of horned women and lovers. Movement ahead, and Geralt slips into the shadows. Geralt, damn it, man, where are you? Jacob hisses, his axe at the ready. Here. Jacob jumps at the Witcher's sudden appearance, but after getting over his fright, the two begin to move through the house together. Neither has seen anyone, including Marta. Jacob knows that they must have to keep looking. She can't be far since she's the one who invited them in. Geralt tries to warn him as he pushes through a door, when suddenly it crashes inward as a beast rips through. Jacob stumbles back into the wall as Geralt leaps forward with his sword drawn, ordering his friend to stay back. Using his Witcher abilities, Geralt casts an Aard sign, hitting it with a bolt of magical force, pushing it back. It's a ghoul of some kind, a cursed creature. He notes before hitting it with another Aard sign, throwing it into a bookshelf. Its bulk destroys the wood into splinters, sending debris scattering around the room. The creature stumbles forward, and with a flash of silver, Geralt cuts a chunk out of its thigh. The ghoul is strong, and a blow knocks the Witcher back. The creature turns, setting its sights on Jacob, but from behind, Geralt comes down onto its head, casting an Igni sign and burning its skin. The sound of burning flesh mixes with the ghoul's screams of pain, until a silver sword pierces its chest. The creature falls, and Geralt and Jacob watch on until the flames die out. Yet, the creature rises, its body still smoking. It's still alive, Jacob stammers, and Geralt doesn't know what it is, but it's not alive. The creature begins to shuffle away, and the two follow, weapons at the ready. Entering a room, they are startled to find the creature fallen to the floor, surrounded by a pile of bodies. Soldiers, hunters, women, merchants, monsters. All dead, but not decaying. Looks like some have been here for centuries, Geralt notes, taking in the scene of corpses. The two move back out of the room, closing the door tight behind them. Hours pass as they explore the house, finally arriving at the dining room. The table is set for a grand meal, with a comforting fire roaring in the hearth. Jacob immediately sits down to eat. It's either magic or a woman's been about. Marta, I think, taking care of me even now. He states as he begins to eat, asking Geralt to pass the wine. Between bites of food, he questions whether there is a woman in Geralt's life. Most Witchers do not feel the need of companionship. Yet, Geralt is not like most Witchers. As the two men eat, drink, and talk, they do not see the horned being watching from the rafters. Hours pass, and now that they are full, the two men fall asleep in front of the fire. Quietly, Jacob tries to slip away, but Geralt's eyes open and he questions the man about searching for his wife. Geralt can't decide whether he should stop Jacob or just think on it while he sleeps. A grateful Jacob slips out of the room, shutting the door behind him. Seeing the sleeping Witcher alone, the winged, horned creature slips from the shadows, drawing ever closer. A hand reaches out, but Geralt is fast, snatching the wrist, pulling the creature into the light. Ow, not so rough, she yells. Before his eyes, the wings and the horns melt away, leaving Geralt in the presence of a beautiful woman, a succubus. One of us is named Vera. What's the other named? She asks him. And with introductions out of the way, Vera apologizes for startling Geralt. She was bored and he looked amusing. Why are you bored? Geralt questions, but Geralt will be bored soon enough, Vera explains, since they're trapped in this cursed house. With the forest full of Leshens and their wolves, with the grave hag waiting for them, there is no escape. After some conversation, Vera decides to show something to Geralt and pulls him from his chair, leading him through the house. They move onward, down endless hallways, finally arriving at another banquet hall. According to Vera, there are 5 total, and as far as she knows, all the food is prepared by magic. Well, so far the magic's been a good cook. The two decide to sit and drink of the wine. Time passes, and after sharing conversation and several stories, Geralt, I like you. I have a gift for you, Vera states, pulling a key from her dress. It's the key to her room on the 4th floor. There's only 3 floors here, he notes. But all of that depends on which doors you open. They begin to walk again, and Vera begins to tell him how she became trapped in this place. She had hidden herself in a caravan, but the men were more mere thieves than merchants. They looked to hide in the Black Forest before stumbling upon the house. So where are these men? Geralt questions. Pulling up the rug, she reveals a trap door, something that Geralt hadn't noticed before. Moving downward, he discovers a pile of bodies, much like the room before. And stepping inward, he whirls at the sound of cracking bones. One of the heads lifts, and words spit out of a dusty mouth. Cursed, it moans.
So currently Geralt's stuck in a mansion where they feed him forever, but he can never get away, and he's stuck with what appears to be a succubus. So what do you think of that? I think it's fascinating. Now, if you want more Witcher comic books and you want the conclusion to this particular storyline, let me know in the comments down below. Share this video with your friends, and also send pizzas to my house. I currently live in Colorado. Just send pizzas to the whole state. It'll be amazing. I'd love it. Thank you so much. Or if you can't afford a pizza, just subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and leave a comment down below explaining what you enjoy about the Witcher series. I'll see you next time right here.